Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. It's Revolving Talking Horses. Maggie Wolfendale joining me. I don't think you and I have done talking. I can't remember the last time we did Talking Horses together. It's been a
Nope.
while, right?
I
We've done it
don't.
together a bunch of
Yeah,
times.
a
It's
bunch.
been a while.
But yeah, I feel like I'm semi-retired from talking horses.
Semi-retired. You're never semi-retired from anything around here, Maggie. In fact, I
know.
know another job you
You
could
can-
get, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, 9-race card today. Beautiful afternoon here at Belmont. Black Eyed Susan Day.
Yeah.
Big
Looking
news,
forward
obviously,
to it.
First Mission being scratched out
Yeah,
of the Preakness. That's unfortunate.
Hind leg injury to him. He will not participate. The morning line second choice, biggest threat to Mage. A lot of people believe, but hey, it's okay for us here at Belmont. We're rooting for Mage to win the Preakness.
Yeah, and he's going to be 2 or 3 to 5 in that race,
Yeah,
and he really looks it on paper. He's
Yeah.
way the one to beat. But we have 9 to talk about today, and you need to go over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, head on over to NairaBets.com. Use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match $200 of your initial deposit. We have a $30 bonus if you bet 150 each on Pimlico and Belmont. That's today. You earn $30, win or lose. I got to make sure I opt in on that.
Yeah.
Might have to make a little Pimlico action. I actually taped a short video for Naira Bets that they probably tweeted talking about today's Black Eyed Susan, race 13 of their card. And, of course, your favorite race on that card we'll be talking about as well, Maggie. And what else do we have? The middle pick 4. And I can thin it down for you in the first leg, which will be race number 3. I think I've got that one down to 2 horses, but we'll get
So
to that
clever.
in a little bit. Yeah, well, that's why I get paid the big bucks.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, last but some version of least, we got 1 to 8:30 on FS2 and 8:30 until 11:30 on FS1. Plenty of action here, there, everywhere. Night, day. We got it all covered. All
Will
right.
you be staying till 11:30?
Oh, you know me. Yeah. If I was
I
staying
know.
till 11:30, I'd be sleeping in my office. I probably wouldn't get much less sleep than I got last night at home, but that's another story. Anyway, there's no story there. I just couldn't sleep. Anyhow, race number 1. Oh, Maggie and I have the same pick in race number 1. What a great way to start the day. We'll talk about Old Point, 2
Thrilling.
races back, or 3 races back actually, or 2 back on the dirt. And I'm going to guess you're against him the same reason I am.
Why? Because he won against my husband's really, 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 really slow horse, Downtown Connector. He finished second, I should say, behind him.
Well, he ran a lot better when you set him the lead in this race. Having said that, no, because you got claimed out of this race by Linda Rice, or the next race. He ran terribly in the race he got
did.
claimed from. She tried the turf. He ran so badly, and now she's back in the dirt, and it's like he can win.
I wonder what Linda was thinking. What about this horse says short on the turf? I mean, yeah, he has some higher knee action, but
New. Something new.
Exactly. I
Something
mean, I
new
get
for a
it.
horse that ran terribly in the race she claimed it in.
This, you watch it. See how he was running with his head up, his tail up. He's just not very athletic. I get where he can win here.
I can relate to that. by the
But,
way, if you're interested.
but there are just more appealing options posted towards the outside.
Hopefully.
With less chances
Hopefully.
at better prices, you would hope.
And we have skirted picking the Yankees horse, though I know
We're
our friend
Orioles
Mary.
fans.
That's right.
How could we?
And the Orioles are well in front of the Yankees at this point. There's a 3-game series next week.
Still
but I
early.
guarantee that our friend Mary Eddy will have a big rooting interest in Jeter and Judge.
Yep.
I actually thought that John Terranova had better numbers making these
So did
turf to dirt
I. I
moves.
looked it up.
He
I was like, ooh,
doesn't-
I'm not putting
Yeah,
that up
I don't
there.
know why. I felt like he'd had a number of turf to dirt maiden winners, and maybe he did, and they just sort of got lost as the years roll by. But as far as Bold Honor, Maggie, I guess just the only real alternative with dirt form, so to speak of.
Well, right. So Jeter and Judge, as far as the pedigree, Ransom the Moon, it does produce more dirt horses on the bottom. It is a little bit, if anything, more turf. But he took money in that turf race, and he was just clueless. So I'm hoping with the start against these horses, he can be effective. But yes, we both took Bold Honor. He gets back to a fast track here, and first time out, going the 7/8, he was chasing a legitimate, pace for that level,
Very much.
and rightfully so. Just got tired that last, eighth of a mile. And last time, yes, he was kept wide on the track, but it was probably the tighter and maybe more preferable path to be on. But he just kept grinding it out. So for me, getting to this mile and a 16th on the main track, I think Rob Atchers is going to win another maiden 20 on the first race of the card.
Well, you'd have to think he's supposed to be in front, and he's also getting back to a fast track for the
Right.
first time since his debut. And even though it's the same buyer figure as last time, I think we both felt he ran better than last time because the first time he was chasing that faster pace than he did, and I kind of agree. If somebody else wins, I do want to mention it's great to have Jose Lezcano back. He's riding the 4 Disturbed, and Jose was in that spill on Wood Memorial Day, and it's great to see him back.
It is a wrist injury, but looking forward to having Jose. He's riding a lot on this card today. I know that he has been up on horses for the last about 10 days, working a lot out for his main stable in Linda Rice.
Yeah, good to see him back and riding, and wish him the best of luck. We wish everybody the best of luck. Race number 2. We're all intact in race number 2. We really only got sort of screwed up in one race today. You know, I'm going to show Chasing Daylight's debut, and I get it. She's the horse to beat. But she's a little bit the horse to beat, Maggie, because it's very, very hard to make a case for anybody else.
Well, exactly.
And I'm going to tell you something. Her race off the layoff was absolutely atrocious. And then he can't drop her fast enough. But to be fair, she's a $15,000 purchase as a yearling.
She's a daughter of Mr. Z. I mean, first of all, we don't see many of those. So
could we get a Ransom the Moon Mr. Z double here?
Oh, that would be exciting.
That would be our first.
A rare, itty. And Jorge Abreu has good numbers. What is with this room? I feel like there's pollen.
They're both Malibu Moons, by the way. Ransom the Moon and it here.
That is
this
weird.
Is the this is the sick room. This is where you go to get sick.
Oh my God! I feel like something's
It's worked miracles on me.
Its way at my throat.
That's my excuse. And I'm sticking with it.
But anyway, first time for a tag on the dirt. Jorge Abreu is hitting at 27% with a positive ROI. And on top of all that, she looks to be the lone speed in here. I just felt like, you know, Jose Ortiz, he'll sometimes, if he doesn't feel as though they're traveling, he doesn't really persevere with them. And maybe she needed that start. Yeah, she looked as though she wanted to lean out a little bit in the running of that race. But at the end of the day, she was in against better horses. Cinderella's Cause came back to win nicely in that condition for Rob Falcone last week here. And I just, as you said, couldn't make an excuse for anybody else. I get, though, Yogi.
Well, I wonder if it could be a double. We
interesting.
got a Yankees double. We could have Jeter and Judge and Yogi. I saw A-Rod the other night, by the way, at where I was eating dinner. He's a very big man.
Most
He's huge.
athletes are.
He's huge. No, he's gigantic. Like really
Well, then
big.
again, I say that.
And everybody's big compared to
we
me,
have
but
an MLB player on the show, and Paul's actually
he's not as
the
big as
same height
A-Rod.
as me.
Not as big as A-Rod.
Yeah.
He's a big man. Yeah, I get it. Listen, and I can't make a strong case for anybody in here, to be honest with you. And as far as Yogi, I really, in a lot of situations like this, Maggie, I'll just try to sort of handicap the race without Chasing Daylight in there and try to figure out where I would go. And looking at Yogi, hasn't been out for a couple of months. Has run some figures that are fast enough to compete, if not faster than everybody else. Maybe could move forward a little bit off that layoff. I don't have a bait case. Should be stalking. Shouldn't be that compromised by pace. I imagine Katie Cakes and Trevor will be stalking, Chasing Daylight. And this horse could be sitting third. I just thought this horse was a viable alternative that's run races fast enough, as fast, if not faster than the others, if I'm trying to beat Chasing Daylight, who I just don't want to pick.
And last time, I thought she broke well, but then she was kind of strangled back off of a pace that turned out to be ultimately slow in the end. And we see Jaime Torres or Jamie Torres just taking nothing away from his mounts. He does
I'm
such
a big
good
fan.
job. I'm a huge fan of Jamie's, and I like him taking over here. He'll get a little weight allowance. And number 1, Susie Saver, I think we have to mention her at least returning to the dirt. The last time we saw her in a dirt race, it was against far better company going back to March at Tampa.
No, that's Frosty O'Toole, who's actually scratched out of
Black-Eyed
today's
Susan.
Black-Eyed Susan, but she had run respectable races down there, and it's a very good point. That's the one, Susie Saver. See what happens in race number 2. We'll see if anybody claims Chasing Daylight. I wonder if she will get claimed. She doesn't
She's
feel
a
like
New
she
York
has to
bred.
get claimed.
No, I know.
Knowles a one, but
right, the last race wasn't great, but but people are kind of desperate to find new flesh, and she could be one of them.
well, speaking of flesh, there's 2 flesh and blood thoroughbreds running in race number 3. Not our place to really discuss it. It's not, what happened, but unfortunately we are scratched down to 2 horses in here. So we'll show Pharaoh's Heart running against 2 horses that were supposed to run in the race. I prefer Pharaoh's. There's only the 2 and 3 are running. So who's scratched left? The 2 and 3 are 3 and 4 are
3
left.
and 4.
So we don't have to show the Dancing Sophia video. I scratched the wrong ones. 3 and 4 are running.
Yeah.
So we'll show Pharaoh's Heart, who's now going to be 1 to 5 in this race.
Yep.
Do we want to show the video, guys? Anybody there? Hello?
I was
There we go.
ultimately against her when this field was intact.
Oh, really? I had picked her second. I think we like the same horse, the horse at the bottom.
Yeah, I had her. I had her third in here. I really liked Movie Moxie. I thought she got the right
So did
kind
I.
of setup in here. And look, this is just the way I had it based on scratches. And I just thought that Pharaoh's Heart was going to get too much company up front for her to do kind of her best running, and now she probably gets to just strut her stuff on the front end.
They'll probably be synchronized. Though I'll tell you one
Yeah.
thing that could work against her. She better break because she
Yeah.
didn't break last time.
She's a
and it's
bad
not
actor
right.
at the gate.
Right. The one thing she did well in that big race she ran was that's what Michelle did. She got her back to breaking well. But I mean, she caused a big disruption in Oaklawn. I think last year in the winter.
I
There was a
remember.
pick. It was a last race with a pick 5 or something. And
I was there.
You were there.
I was there, and because both Steve Asmussen and Darren Fleming, who's his assistant there, were on this filly's head, and they were like, and Darren said to me, I'm like, what does this filly do? And he's like, it's not really here in the paddock, but it's at the gate, and wouldn't you know, like.
I think that we actually left the air. I think we had to leave the air before they ran the race, and it just completely blew up in a
Yeah.
weird pick 5 sequence where she was the overwhelming favorite. Anyway, she'll be the overwhelming favorite again today over Honey Money, who's not impossible, obviously, in a 2-horse field. She's got a real chance to win.
At least she's outside.
Yeah, at least she's running. Race number 4. So race number 4, I think it's a question of whether or not you think that Christophe Clement can sort of control this race.
Yeah.
Though I see you, My Risky Affair, 4th. I have her 3rd. And we'll take a look at Canisi and Arena last time, or if Arena's just the better horse. I'm going to tell you something. I think Canisi is the second likeliest winner. She may be the likeliest winner. I've never been a big fan of hers.
Oh, see, I've been a huge fan of hers.
Well, what race has she ever won when she didn't have everything go her own way?
I agree. I would agree. And I just kind of like her. I don't know. I just like her as a physical. I think that's my thing with her. Maybe not, doesn't have like an overwhelmingly sexy pedigree or anything like that, but she kind of goes out there and just shows up and is consistent to a degree. I don't think she's effective, obviously, in the greatest stakes horse, but at this level, I think she is. And I think she ran a better race than Arena. I
Really?
know Arena was a little bit compromised by having a slow pace.
Yeah,
But
I think she had everything her own way. Now she may
Shouldn't
again.
Arena be? Shouldn't we have seen more from Arena already, or is it too soon to give up on?
Well,
her?
I don't know. I mean, Chabron's only had over 2 races, and she improved a lot last time, and she basically hit the wire together with Canisi, and Canisi was waltzing along on the front end, similar to how she is here. Now, what do you do if you're Christophe Clement? Because the
Yeah.
reality is that My Risky Affair, and we'll take a My Risky Affair, I think this is her race, wiring the field back in October. She's actually faster than Canisi, but Canisi's the more likely winner. And it's, at least in my opinion, but I have to think she's going to be in front. And do you worry at all if she's in front? It takes away a little bit of the advantage that Canisi has over Arena, or maybe the two of them just sort of run shotgun together. She rides shotgun, and they're just backing the pace down. Because who else is going to go here?
No, it's Christoph.
He has a
it's his
stranglehold in
race.
this race tactically.
Right, as far as pace. And I just like Javier Castellano, the ride that he's on right now, and the fact that he sticks with this filly. And I just thought, since she's to the outside, maybe she's the one that can dictate things a little bit more. She can put the pressure on My Risky Affair and just be a little bit more comfortable than that runner. And furthermore, I feel like Canisi, between the two Christoph runners, has been facing the better company. And
Oh, she has
holding her
faced
own.
better horses. I wouldn't say she's held her own. I think she's dressed up by the fact that she looks like she ran pretty well, and she was ineffective with good trips in there. The thing I love about Canisi, people remember her debut. Sabaya was over $1 million purchase for Darley
Maybe that's why I
for
like her.
Shadwell, and her
That's why
second
I
start
like her.
was the Bobby Flay homebred.
Because
I
I
think he had
picked-
paid a few $1 million
yeah.
for the dam, and she was a $40,000 purchase, and she ran down about $3 million worth of horse flesh,
Yeah.
sort of rubbing in the point that you know that spending a lot of money doesn't guarantee success in this
That's
game.
why I like her.
So I think that's very cool, right? I
Yeah.
I just thought that was sort of a funny thing about her. What is your thing with Miss Whimsical Dance?
Okay, Gail Cox doesn't ship many horses here. She's run 5 horses here in the last 5 years, and she's had a winner in 4, I think, and 3 of the 4 have hit the board.
Who did she win with? Do you remember? I did not look it up.
can't
I just wonder
remember.
if you did.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I looked at it this morning, and I can't remember. It's terrible.
What if Saratoga?
It was.
A little easier ship, but still,
Right.
just a little.
And I thought she ran really well last time. I know the figure wasn't that fast, but she was a 3-year-old, but she was running against older horses who weren't bums.
Gabby Squared, the $25,000 claimer.
some of them weren't bums.
She
in
ran
there.
around here.
But,
Wasn't she like blue? It wasn't like Blue Goose Stable or something. I think Chad Brown originally had her, right? I think
Gabby
she was
Squared?
claimed. I think that he
Really?
originally had her. Look it up when we're
right.
looking at formula. I think he had, and I feel like it was like Blue Goose Stable or something like that.
I don't know. I just thought she ran. Maybe it was an optical illusion and that the pace was coming apart and what have you. But I mean, she was steadied going into the turn. She lost all forward position. She actually was relegated back to last. She had to rally between horses, and
Her debut wasn't that bad, so
Right.
who knows? She could improve.
that's what I was
She's a
hoping
stranger
for
to the
as a
crew.
4-year-old. Why? Maybe there aren't any races for her in Canada, but why take the shot to ship her down here if Gail
fair.
didn't think she had a nice horse on her hands?
No, I think that's perfectly fair. I don't listen. None of these horses are that good.
No, it's
So
not that
I'm not
short of a
gonna
race.
trample on a long
Yeah.
shot pick in here that you can make a case for, because I don't think any of them have shown so far that they're that good. I think they
Mm-hmm.
all have some potential, but necessarily race number 5 as we move on. I don't think I've seen too many maiden races like this, and even in a New York bred maiden race, where virtually the whole field basically
Comes
ran
out of the
against each
same
other. I
race.
mean, this is incredible when you think
Yeah.
about it, and I think you and I have the same opinion as we look at October Bliss finishing third in this race. I'm sorry, maybe this be the one, the horse picked on top, finishing
Yeah.
third, October Bliss
Had
second.
the worst trip of them
I
all.
mean, I bet October Bliss, and she probably ran a little better in the winter, but I mean, this horse was wide the entire way around the racetrack, and I mean, still was running at the end. I don't know how you can look at this race and not feel like she ran the best race. Doesn't mean she'll win today.
No, he definitely did. Look, he kind of broke a little sluggishly, was at the back, and then they backed down the pace. So then he commences this wide rally, and it was a sustained rally while going, 4 to 5 wide, and just never gave up. And whereas, a horse like Miles and October Bliss can win here. I'm not totally against that horse, but they had things their way because the first quarter went a little quick.
Nah, October Bliss, I bet her. She had no excuse. She should have won.
Yeah, no, that's what
no,
I'm
I'm
saying.
agreeing with you. I
Yeah,
agree.
exactly.
I bet her. It was 4-1. It was a good play at 4-1, but she should have won
Won,
that race. I
right.
agree. Addicted You had
Right.
many chances. Favored or not, she'd had many chances, or he
Yeah,
had many chances.
I can't believe it. And if anything, Addicted You didn't have a great trip that day. It still
Should we
won.
have picked Awesome Force because he's the only horse
Drop
in the
down?
race that? No, he's the only horse in this field.
Well, he is the only
there
drop
was-
down.
Yeah, I find in general that maiden special and maiden claimers, as they get older in the New York bred races, some of these maiden claimings on the turf, there isn't that much of a difference between
Yeah.
the maiden specials and maiden claimers.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the race 2 back was a little bit better, but that horse is the only horse that was not running against this crew for what it's worth.
I know. Just really has run figures that, at least last time, put him in kind of sniffing distance. He is a 3-year-old, so there's always a little bit of upside. Blinkers on, and he was kind of running in stops and starts in that last race, which was Derby Day here 2 weeks ago. So I can see using him. I just wish he'd done a little bit more running
Me
to
too.
feel that confident. And then we both use Eula. I think that's how you say it. It was his first start off the layoff. And the first race, maybe we can excuse it because he was meant to run on the turf.
And he was way out in the middle of the racetrack. He was
And
three
he was
wide.
rank.
Yeah.
He was rank with the blinkers going on, so they take him off. He has that one start under his belt. And I just feel like, and two, while he had several breezes going into that race, it feels like Christoph, when the horses come into Belmont to then, come off layoffs, they always seem to need a race.
Yeah.
The ones at
By
Payson,
design,
they
a lot of
seem
them
to,
do. By
right,
design, they do,
exactly.
yeah.
So I thought he would run a lot better than what he did in that last effort.
Do you think the brains of the family told him to take the blinkers off? That would be Acacia?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
she's clearly the brain.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's a big contest, but anyway. We are done with the first 5, the late pick 4. We'll be right back.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
We are back, Maggie and Andy. Race number 6. I'm guessing from us talking about the replays earlier that we probably like the same horse
Yep.
here. And while Trash Talker Scratched, we'll show you Risk Profile, our top pick. And I can't speak for you, Maggie, but I'm going to bet horses that come off of dead rail trips. And this was a
He
horse that
on
was
it.
glued to the dead
Look
rail.
at the difference in the dirt. See how white that is?
Yep.
And he's done all of his running on that dead, loose, like a beach. As I always say, it's much easier to run closer to the shore where the water hits it because it's patted down than it is up in the dunes, right?
And this horse never really stopped running in there, and I'm going to take this horse off. I have to bet horses.
to.
It does drift a little bit off the rail here, but sort of spent about half a mile on the
He's
dead
still
rail.
plugging along against a loose on the lead, a trash talker who won't show up here. Maybe, does take a little bit of the speed out of this race, which I think complements risk profile. And I think, in a way, it worked out for Ruben to be aggressive because he isn't a horse that has that much speed. But with the blinkers going on,
Jamie
I
needs
bet
to be aggressive.
they sit right off of the pace that
Catch
should be
you soon.
right by Catch You Soon.
What do you do with Catch You Soon?
He's such a perplexing horse because, yeah, you want to take him because Linda Rice takes over, and Linda's had a great year so far. And furthermore, he was against the racetrack last time. It was a gold rail day back on January 27th, and he was out wide. But his 2 races before that were just meh, and all of his better races have
Finger
come
Lakes.
out of town.
Well, that's the thing I did in my PPs. If you draw a line to the Finger Lakes races, but on the other hand, the race 2 back isn't that bad.
It's
But
not.
the horse did stalk Bezos, who was in good form there.
I know.
But he did finish second there. Now, Bezos was a different Bezos than we generally see, and he was in good
Exactly.
form for a brief period there. So he's not impossible, but I didn't really want him in there. We both have the number 6 horse in this race, 24 Mamba second.
Oh, I really love this horse turning back. And his lone, fast dirt race is good. It's good enough,
I don't know
right?
where it came from. He beat me out of the exact. I need American Gentleman second, but he actually ran well in there, and I agree. Then he tried to go a mile in that crazy race where Call Me Harry won. Rating, I don't think anyone. That was one where you and I were on the exact same page, and we both ended up looking stupid. But I wouldn't bet. I'd bet against him if they ran the race again. He'd probably lose. I agree. I want him cutting back in distance.
Yeah, no, I think he's very dangerous in here. And considering that he ran that good of a race, kind of against the flow of it too, and off of a layoff, and I just think that he's dropping down a little bit here. It's probably the same horses from the 40 to the 32. But, yeah, no, I definitely wanted 24 Mamba. How much money do you think the Charlie Baker acquisition that stays in here, Flamingo Hawk, takes? Because he has races in him that would blow this field away, but his recent form is a little dicey.
The entry is obviously 5-2 more because of Trash Talker. So I'm going to guess that Dave would have made this horse 6 to 8 to 1 because the last 3 races are just really slow. And this horse is not winning off the second FF Rocket, I'll tell you that.
No, that's what I mean. But
Does have
haven't
back
we
races.
seen Charlie Baker be able to do this with these types of horses in the past?
I don't see him as a trainer that moves horse up a lot off the claim. He does
No, but I'm
okay
saying
off
with
the claim.
With some back class, with horses that have back class, he can sometimes get them to refine.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be shocked if he's effective. I respect Charlie a lot, as you do as well. I just couldn't take him because of the races. Now, the problem is I also left him out because he was part of an entry. And I just can't stand entries. Especially if you liked him before, with Trash Talker in there, you couldn't pick him. With Trash Talker out, you can bet on him now because he is going to be a much, much bigger. Considering you have to feel that Trash Talker was the bigger price of the two, that means his price has to be more than 5 to 1. So he's probably 6 or 8 to 1. I imagine Trash Talker was the one that was going to take more money. What about Bring Me a Check? Michael Moore.
He's dangerous, isn't he?
Not the documentarian. 2 for 39. I spoke to him one night for a while, actually.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's really nice.
I like Mike.
Yeah. No, I meant the documentarian.
Oh, I meant the trainer.
Yeah, it's a long story, but no, not even that interesting a story. But
It's not that kind
he
of
was
show,
very friendly.
Andy.
We were chatting one night. No, anyway, it was random. He's 2 for 39 in the dirt, 248 coming here, but his horses have run okay when he's come here.
I agree. My problem with this horse specifically is that his fast dirt form just isn't as good.
Yeah.
He's just more accomplished
He's better
on
on
the
synthetic.
turf, on the wet, on the synthetic, everything else. He could be here in this last race. He was very game, but at the end of the day, I don't know if this effort makes him a winner. It doesn't really. It makes him a player and a horse I would use protectively underneath, but because and I respect the job that Michael does because and furthermore from my vantage point looking at his horses, they always look incredibly well turned out.
Yeah, they show up and run here. I don't think they underperform. I just think a lot of times they're in sort of tougher spots like this where
Exactly.
it's a little hard to win. I don't I know his numbers are not great, but I think it's better than that. Moving on to race number 7, which I thought was a fairly wide open race, race number 7. And I am not going to argue that Who That's Me isn't the horse to beat. If he can run back to this last race, because the race we're showing, he didn't get any pace to run at. The track was kind of inside speed, and he still got the job done over excellent timing. And given that excellent timing, and Ikigai and Rodney are all in here, isn't the pace supposed to be on us again?
I thought so. I thought there were 3 horses that could definitely go here. And this race is full of horses that are of pets of mine, of horses that I love, and then horses that I am always going to pick against. Who That's Me. And my friend Matash, I don't know why I have a thing for this horse, but I do.
You and David Aragona. He's in love with this horse, too. He's
But
now
he might get the right
looking to get
setup
buried
finally.
twice in a row. I just want to, I mean,
I know. I get
just,
it.
I
He's not that
understand he was against it last time.
He was.
He wasn't, I mean, you know, that was a weird rail because
It was a speedy track.
Yeah.
It was the kickback. He was covered. He was covered.
But where is his terrific race other than the second race?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I've got him
just
fourth,
think he's
but-
been kind of ridden wrong in the wrong scenarios on the wrong racetracks. I know I'm making a lot of excuses for him, but I still like him. I still think there's a decent horse in there that will show up one of these days, and I'm hoping today is that day because at least on paper he could get the right trip, which never happens here anyway.
Yeah, no, he is going to get a lot more pace, and you know those are the kind of things with Eric when he lets him sit far back. I'm going to take a shot with a horse that I have a little bit of a thing for, and that's 12th Man. Michelle Nevins Barnes seems to have really come alive in the last month or so, and you know I'm Michelle's biggest fan. And if you look at the last race, the horse got sort of slammed coming out of the gate, and that was a track that was kind of speed. It's a big rail. And today's flavor, and was never near the rail after having trouble to start, so was compromised. The start 2 back horse was never going to beat King Angelo that day and didn't run that badly close to the pace. And I thought ran actually pretty well off the layoff when the bad start. And I'm just kind of hoping there's a lot of pace in here. A horse I've tried before. It's going to get the right setup to run at. It doesn't have to be that slow. Maybe today is the day for him. And today I figured he'd be a square price in this race. A little tough to take off his form. But I think I can make enough excuses because I agree that Who That's Me is the horse to beat. He just seems so obvious. And Digital Future,
That was a
I guess I
suspect
shouldn't
field.
have even bothered with this. I didn't realize he'd be 12-1 morning line. I showed the video of his last race. He did run fast last time, but we'll show the race. He got a perfect trip. But on the other hand, I don't want to knock a 12-1 shot. If you like him, you should bet him.
I know, but at the end of the day, I just think he was beating inferior horses here on this day. But maybe with the break, maybe they corrected something. I don't know that's going to make him better and consistently better. But look, he's finishing on the wrong lead. And like you said, he got the right kind of setup here. Again, 12-1, fine, but I don't trust him in this spot. What about Verratti? We have to talk about the elephant in the room, Verratti, who is yet again coming
The
off
elephant
of
in the
a
room was
late-
Kyle.
Oh, be nice to Kyle.
I love Kyle.
He's
He
not
didn't
even
hear
listening us.
He's not even listening.
He's
not
like
even paying
jamming
attention.
out. Yeah. But this is a horse who's faced some really nice horses. Obviously, Mo Donegal jumps out on the paper. Last year's Belmont Stakes winner
Trying to get his
in the
attention.
debut.
It didn't even work.
Clearly.
The problem with him is, Maggie, I mean, I know he ran against Conager, but, I mean, he beat Shrivel Elvis first time out. Well, Mo Donegal improved, but Mo Donegal improved with distance and experience as well.
Yeah.
So just because he beat him first time, and I don't know. What about, by the way, speaking of Todd Pletcher versus off a layoff, what about yesterday?
I mean, it was a wicked pace, but he got outfinished by
Come
Gunnett.
on.
He got
Gunnett was on the
outfinished by
pace.
Yeah. So yeah, it feels
want
like
this horse.
maybe there's a. I know.
Here's my problem, Maggie.
I could tell something was off with him in the paddock last time. He just did not look good, and now he has this, nearly year layoff to contend with.
He's a forward horse, first of all.
Yeah.
And so it's not like now, doesn't mean he's going to be on the lead here, but he's a forward horse. And when he was effective, he was forward. In all his races, he was forward. And he's not fast enough to win. So he's going to have to improve coming off a near year layoff. And it's Todd Pletcher, so he's going to take money in all likelihood.
Yeah. No, I didn't love him, but I mean, how much attention does he get? He finally gets back to at least a fast track today, which hadn't been the case as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I don't view good tracks with a little moisture in them particularly different than a fast track. I always think the wet tracks are sealed tracks. I always think of the difference between tracks are sealed or harrowed.
Okay,
That's just me.
I
Doesn't
don't
make me
think
right.
you can be that critical of that effort, considering he was beaten by Conacher. It was his first start off of a layoff, too.
Does Conacher run this year?
No, I don't
Need
think
a
so.
horse.
He
Sorry.
doesn't need a horse.
No, I know, but the figures just aren't that good. And they're within hailing distance. I shouldn't say it. Within hailing distance. I don't want this horse. This horse
Okay.
wins. I'm going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, he has some decent work coming back. I don't trust him, but I feel like there could be some talent there.
250-day plus layoffs in the dirt and dirt sprints at Naira.
Not good.
If you include yesterday, they've gone down to 7 for 38 for Todd Pletcher with about $1.07, $1.06 ROI. So, for whatever it's worth, not a great move. But he'll be a bit of a price if you like him. And
Yeah.
Rotney, I know it was a big pace last time. I've run out of
Of Rotney love.
I'm out of Rotney love.
Oh.
Sorry. Race number 8. Con Man, we'll show him in his last race, and we'll show him stretching out. Marcassi's numbers stretching out are not that bad. They're not great, but they're not that bad. I'm not a big fan of this horse.
Oh, see, I am a fan of this horse.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're checking out his start. Last time out, going the 6, he was stymied down on the rail throughout. Now, he's going to get the seam. He's going to get, to do some running here. But it's not like, watch his stride. He has a long, more loping like stride. So his burst, his turn of foot isn't that quick. It's not quick enough for 6 furlongs. I don't know how this horse got up in his second start to win. It was because he just grinded it out, going the 5.5 as a 2-year-old, probably against, not that great of a field. I think he prefers the mile here, and third start off the layoff is usually when they'll fire their best shot. And I like the fact that he's come back as a 3-year-old and has run faster.
I'm not against him. I put him second. I don't want to take him at a super short price, and he will be one. He is absolutely the horse to beat in this
I just
race.
wasn't
I'm
in
not
love
gonna
with
argue that.
anybody else.
Well, the problem with the field is you start going through them, and unless you think Bee of Courage is going to improve going longer, or Noble Huntsman's going to run a lot better second off the layoff, I don't know where you're supposed to go between layoffs or first-time turfs or sort of
Right.
tough horse taking.
And
I don't want any
there's
part of Fatima's Blessing, who just sucked up a good rail
Yeah.
to get second last time out
Distant.
and beat open till midnight. That horse is going to beat me. I got Noble Huntsman third. As far as Barrel of Quests,
I like this horse.
I like this horse. I got a thing for it. I thought this horse ran very well on August 17th. 2 to 3 wide around the track against a gold rail that day. Obviously not as well the next time out. Did not run particularly well in that race. And then you know what? Got a race down at Tampa. A New York bred running down at Tampa. They're going to lose that condition down there? I don't think so.
No, they all.
This purse is 3 times as big as that. More than 3 times as big as that.
Right,
purse.
this might be apples and oranges because this is a New York bred, but look at Tom Albertani. What is he, 75% for the meet so far with horses that he's prepped using races
He's
down at
75%
Tampa?
being smart and getting them ready to run up here,
Exactly.
down there. And I think, I think a lot
that
of
horse is the same look.
I think some of the horses in New York. Obviously, people are trying to win races. We're not implying they're not, but a lot of times you're running horses that need races,
Right.
and horses. A lot of the or more meant horses that run at Tampa are whether it's Chad Brown or Christophe Clement, and others have done it, but they probably do it the most. Chad certainly debuted some very nice turf winners, Grade 1 winner, Digital Age down there. You're trying to break a maiden to get the horse to stake races earlier in the year, and that's fine, so you don't care about the purse. Or you're something like this with a New York bred or Tommy's horses where you're getting them to start where they can run on the turf to get them ready for turf season here.
And as Tom said to me in the interview, the surfaces down there, whether you're
They love the
training or
surface there.
racing, are so forgiving
Yep.
for horses coming out of there. So I think, that's why we've seen the Chad Brown really talented horses running there because he
Much better
knows
than
he's going to
Gulfstream.
have a horse coming out of there to move forward with.
Especially if you watch replays at Gulfstream and you see that turf course, especially in March and April. And it's a perfect track, really, for trainers because they run the turf to get them forward, and they run the dirt to have the built-in excuse that the horse didn't handle the track
I
when
knew
the
he was
horse
gonna
runs
bring it up.
lousy.
I knew it.
I mean, that has got to be every
I knew
trainer's
it.
favorite dirt track, right? I mean,
The built-in excuse is right there.
somebody we could have a lot of fun. You ever see a movie called Swimming with Sharks?
No.
It's with Frank Whaley and Kevin Spacey, where it's Kevin Spacey is
Maybe.
like a horrible film executive.
Uh-huh.
Harvey Weinstein sort of type. I don't know. And Frank Whaley's his assistant, and they kidnap him. It's a whole thing. It's a fun movie, and I believe it was written by assistants, like assistants sitting around drinking,
Oh, that's
telling horror stories about the awful people
Right,
they
right,
worked for, and I
right.
think that's where it came from.
That's
There would be a
great.
very funny book that people in racing could write together of trainer excuses. Toby would probably be loved to do this. Wouldn't that be in his wheelhouse? He's a funny guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
he's a
it's
super funny
the
guy. So
best.
I mean, because if you could have a lot of fun in horse racing with like a trainer excuse book, because there have to have been some incredible doozies over the years.
I do want to say, note
yeah.
that Noble Huntsman does put on the aluminum pad.
Pad A
Pad A.
or A. No, there's an A. Equipment A.
dot A.
We are apparently getting a hint of what A is. We're going to learn what B and C is later. It's all part of the alphabet program here at NYRA. Anyway, race number 9. So the only horse in race number 9 that has any turf form really whatsoever, and that's going back a couple of years, is Bucker 2. And I'm going to show the horse finishing second, actually coming back at a gold rail. And this is one, Maggie, I always seem to show replays where there was a tough beat involved. I hit this exacta because Bucker 2 is on the outside, on the 2-path, drops over the rail and ends up getting to the gold rail, and that's actually what enabled the horse to come back on, I always felt, because this was one of those gold rail periods at Aqueduct, come back on and finish second in this race, was using the gold rail to battle back on the horse that had been chasing outside the whole way, right?
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So I
Look
always
at
remember this funny race, but I mean, this horse did not run a competitive race all of last year, and now Michelle is coming back and saying, okay, I'm dropping.
And furthermore, every time I've seen him, whether it's his debut or that race first off the bench back in April of 2022, he's just a heavy dude, and he looks like he needs a start. Yeah, first time for a tag. Look, he could win, but I thought there were more interesting propositions. There's some pedigree first time starters in here, so yeah, I took a shot.
There's
with,
a lot of pedigree with the horse that you picked. The dam
yeah.
was a Chad. By the way,
Chad Brown.
that horse was Chad Brown's Golden Goose stable. My friend Steve. texted me.
Oh,
Not
okay, well
Blue
done.
Goose, yes.
Yeah, all right. The
I'm getting
Frost
old, but
giant, right?
you know, at Golden
Some
Sense,
Western
by the
racing.
way, he's got very good turf numbers.
Especially the sprinters.
Yeah, no,
Too.
I agree. This horse is interesting.
Yeah, and look, I don't love to go by works, but a 47-1 out of the gate for a horse who's bred to be on the turf is pretty darn good. And there's plenty of pedigree on the bottom side. I thought Jimmy Ryerson might have this guy ready to go.
There's plenty of pedigree for your husband's horse, the Mighty Don.
Yep,
Who
there are
is
the
the
two
Mighty
pedigree
Don?
horses.
Don Newman?
Yeah.
Is it? It's Al Newman, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He's
so-
mighty? Apparently he's mighty. He's the mighty one. I don't know him at all.
Oh,
Is he
anyway. But yes, Freud, Barrel of Dreams, she went 5 for 16 on the turf, and I mean, just the whole family's been on
Right,
turf.
it's all turf. I mean, it's her first foal, but you go to the second family, it's
Yeah.
all turf. As far as tiebreaker, you have second here, so obviously saw the same things I did. That race, we saw what 26 Black did. It's not
Yeah.
just that 26 Black came back and crushed the field the next time. It's also that she was bet in that race. He was bet like the race was a foregone
Over, yeah.
conclusion. It's all coming together. One, because I was out of town and didn't even pay attention to the races. And I just think that that is a far superior turf race than that 57 buyer
Absolutely.
suggests.
Yep.
This horse was also wide that day. I think it's a possible strong rail. So to me, tiebreaker is the one you want of the horses that have started. And I think that one race is a lot better than it looks.
The only thing I worry about with him is that he was a horse that struck me as wanting to go a bit further, and they run him back here at the 6 furlongs. But again, I think just the class relief is going to help.
You're also
him out
getting Jose
greatly.
Ortiz, and no knock on Louis Rodriguez, but Jose's a top rider. So
Yep.
anyway, we'll see what happens. Maggie, it was a pleasure, as it always
Absolutely.
is. You will be on during you and I are on very briefly together.
Okay,
You're,
I
are
get
you
a,
hosting
I get a
right
little
away,
Andy
or are you?
Sprinkle. Yeah, with Sarah and I.
Oh yeah,
Sarah
that'll be
and
fun.
Broadway.
All right, and then I get a little of you before
Yep.
Keisha comes in. Anyway, we're on for a lot today, as you'll see momentarily. But first, you're heading over to Naira Betts, right, Kyle? Whatever, dude. Use the promo
Kyle
code
is
MATCH200.
watching a show, eating his
He's
potato
very stoic.
chips.
He's very busy. He doesn't have
know?
time for us. That's why I'm going to make fun of him. We'll use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match for $200 of your initial deposit. We've got the $30 bonus. You bet $150 or more today at Belmont and at Pimlico. How can you lose there? $30 back. And we have the middle pick 4 starts in race 3. I think we can narrow that race down for you to 2 horses. And finally, last but not least, I tell you what, this is not least.
Marathon.
1 to 11:30 p.m. Eric Donovan will be here for the whole 10 hours of it.
God bless him.
He's
Better
just-
him
he's
than
moving
me.
into one of the trucks back there, I think.
Yeah, he's got a little pillow.
I think a
Got
number
a
of
little,
people are.
You know, the neck pillow. I'd be like, Eric, what do I do next? What?
That's just normal. Anyway, we're done. Johnny I's just revving up, though. Good luck.
Almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.